So that's another weekend lost to the garden. And I've got this done. I'm giving you an update on it. I'd hoped that I could have got this done today and yesterday, and I did. I managed to do it. So the patio area is now complete, really. And I'll show you what it looks like with the chair on it. Now, you've got to bear in mind it's going to have 4 chairs and a little table in the middle of this, but we'll just put this on so you can gauge the size of it against that chair. We never really wanted too much of a big area, or I never did, because we've got quite a few seating areas. Not only do we have this seating area, but we also have the pergola, and then down the bottom there, where the wheelbarrow is in the background, that's another seating area. So we don't want to overdo it, but I always wanted to have a hard stand here. Now, when I designed this last year, I've been looking back on some of my photographs, and I noticed that I'd actually already placed some of these slabs here, and then I've obviously changed my mind, because as you know, now and again I change my mind, and I did on here. So what have I done? Well, what I did first was I dug out the section as I said I would. I dug out underneath the slabs. We had gravel on it, so if you just imagine that section there, that was gravel. It is gravel still. It was just like that. And I had to dig down to get it flat and level at this point. So I had to take off all the hardcore. I had to cut away the membrane, because I didn't really need the membrane on this. It's not really going to cause a problem to take away the membrane. So I took the membrane away. Then I put it back down, levelled them off, and then I set about putting the gravel in between. So doing the job itself, although it's just a bit of effort, a lot of time was required on this one. Yesterday it took me 5 hours to lift those slabs, to dig them in and to put them back. And that was as much as I got done yesterday, and those 5 hours was an hard 5 hours. So as promised, I said I would back it with, I couldn't make my mind up at the time, but because we've got all this sandstone now that I've reclaimed from another place, I decided, and that's not here at Grassy Bottom, I reclaimed it from another property where they were just going to get dug into the soil and thrown away, so there was no point in leaving them. So what I've done as a retainer is I've done that, so I've had a bit of a jiggle about, and that looks really nice. Well, I think that looks really nice. And I like that. I've added, you can see the difference in the colour at the moment of the sandstone, bearing in mind that some of them are not truly the same type of sandstone, as you probably see. The one there is definitely not the same as the others, but it looks okay. Now, they are mucky, because as I said, I dug them up and they haven't had enough exposure to the rain yet. So over time, that's going to look absolutely fantastic. So we've done the outcrop up there. As I said, I was going to try and create this pinch point, which I did. And also, I put another section here. So I put 3 more there. And remember that there's plants to grow all over here yet. And that's going to soften the whole look. I like this look, this sandstone look. It's not a rockery. People might think it's a rockery. It's not. And if it was going to be a rockery, I would have used bigger slabs than this. I wouldn't be going back to the 70s type rockery where people used to stick bits of stone in there. I remember my mum doing the same and putting bits of concrete and all sorts in it. And that's not really truly a rockery. But back in the day, it probably was. So, we'll walk around it so we can give you a better view. That's really nice, that. Really happy with it. There's not a lot else that I can do to this section now, all but maybe mess about with plants. Now, as you probably spotted on the corner, there's another bucks. There's bucks of sempervirens. I've got plenty of these around. I grow these all the time, and I keep hold of them, put them into pots, grow them on, in hope that at some point they will come back in. Now, as you can see, this one's got some cream edge colour to it. So it is probably a different variety, but it still looks good. What will I do with that as we go on? Well, probably the box balls up there that we've got going there are going to be almost cloud pruned as a hedge, really. So they're gonna, these things here, hopefully over time, are gonna knit into each other, and then we'll keep a funny shape on those. We'll do the same with this one here. We'll do the same with that batch there, and they will knit together, form the hedge there. And then we've got the other one which sits on its own in this corner here, and we will make those going to the back of it, into the back of the hedge bit there, and we'll make some interesting shape. So it's all part of the ongoing process. And if you look down the side there, these are, this edge here, I've actually cut to a, you can't really tell on here, but I've cut it to more of a sharp point. So the top of it is a thin point, and then it kind of, I'll demonstrate it with my hands, it goes that way and it goes that way. So triangular, really. So long term, I'm going to allow it to get bigger, probably 2 foot, and then we'll probably keep it at that size. So as I've said, it's a bit of a process. I've enjoyed doing this. This has probably been the hardest little job I've done up to date. Let's sit down, discuss it a bit more. So it's been the hardest job I've done up to date, and that's only because I'm on my own doing the work. There's no one to help me actually lift these slabs around, and these slabs, believe me, are really heavy. Now, one thing I did find out was that I did manage to get them better by putting them close together, and I said I had enough slabs, and I've actually got 2 left and some bits left. So I'm probably, over time, and I'm not going to do it yet, I'm probably going to bring them across here in front of this, because we have this problem where we kick the gravel over there, and I'm going to kind of define that area eventually so it'll look good. May not do it, who knows. I might not want to do it. I might want to change my mind and do something else with those slabs. But this is pretty much done now. So the rockery, or the rock outcrop, is what I initially termed this off as when I first built it, has now grown, and it's looking really nice. I've got a euphorbia, ephemermoides it's called, this one here, and it's more of a sort of a cushion, a pin spurge, so it's a cushiony type thing. So it'll form a little mound. It won't get too big, but it'll be really brightly coloured in spring. It'll do well. The Pinus Mugo, which is the one back there, I will sort the candling out, because it's going to be candling pretty soon, and I think I've explained about candling. If you just look on my other videos, you'll see that I've dealt with candling and what it means. And I will have to deal with that, because I've already pruned it up last year when I first put it in, and I'm going to do it again. I'm going to be selectively removing some of it to give it this lovely bonsai look, but on a bigger scale than bonsai. So that's looking nice. Yeah, that's looking really nice, that. I'm really happy with it at the moment. I'm having pauses because I'm just I'm just thinking of other things, just what I can do. There isn't really anything else I can do to it, but it's been, again, a passionate thing to do, a build of passion. I've enjoyed it. It's been cold. It's cold today. It's absolutely freezing today, to be quite honest. In fact, while we're here, let's show you this. That's Pinus contorta Chief Joseph. That's looking fantastic in its yellow winter coat. It will go back to green over time. But yeah, when you come up, so let's start this walk again. When you actually come up to here, this draws you up, so it draws you through. And you come up through here onto the gravel garden. Gravel area, gravel garden, call it what you will. And then we get to look at this. So this is really, really beautiful in my opinion. I love it, absolutely love it. And it's things like this that do give gardens some curb appeal. And you do need hard landscaping stuff to do that. You certainly need that to create what I've created, and it just makes it interesting. And remember, it's a process. You can't do this in, I don't know, you can't do this in a year even. If you're want a good garden, you've just got to spend your time on it and take time building it. And then you can end up with this. Now, I've been very fortunate because I managed to find these Yorkstone slabs around the property when we moved here. And they were all over the place, and some were holding the bank back, believe it or not. Down near the secret garden, it was a bit of a bank going on there, and it was holding them back, and that's how I discovered them to start with. But there was a lot of them around the corners of the house itself, so I thought, well, we're going to make more use of those. Now, one thing I have done, you'll probably know that you get this ribbon effect. And by that, I mean that effect there, you can see that's different. Now, on here, we've got the same ribbon effect on every one of them, but it's underneath. And you may ask why I didn't have the more interesting side on it. Well, some of the ribboned bits were quite deep on some of them. Unlike those bits, which are quite shallow, there's hardly anything there. But on some of them, they were quite deep, and it would have spoiled the seating area, because the seating area itself would look great without the seats on it. But as soon as you position your seats on it, you was going to start coiling and buckling over, and I didn't want that. So I decided I would use the back side of them. You can use either, it doesn't really matter. If you're going to use these things on a pathway, then I suggest you do use the riven side, so the rougher side, because that helps to grip as you're walking and stops you from slipping when it's wet, or helps to stop you slipping when it's wet, because it doesn't always work like that. But I decided I wanted the flatter area, so I turned them the other way up. Now I've not put them onto cement or anything. They've gone back onto some compacted hardcore that came up in the first place. I've put it back onto that, and then we've had a bit of a mess around because there was different thicknesses of slabs, and I had to mess about with that, and that's not easy in itself. Pretty difficult when you're on your own, because they're quite heavy, some of these, and I've got a bit of a bad back, and that's my own fault from years and years of gardening. I think we all have gardener's back. So there we are. One thing I have put in, it was already in here, I've moved it a little bit, is this toad. I love these sort of features, and this one's just subtly sat in there, and people don't really notice it at first until they actually come over to here, and then they spot it. And as this euphorbia gets bigger, it's probably going to come over to here somewhere, so it'll disguise it a little bit more, make it look a little bit more interesting. So it's looking good. It took some time to arrange these rocks as well, although they look like I just put them down there. I did, but I didn't. I took a lot of jiggling around on them to get that effect that I've got. Oh, the sun's coming onto it now. It looks lovely. Look at that. That's lovely. I love it. Yeah. So yeah, I've had a lot of messing about to do. Now we've got a little sedum spathulifolium purpureum down there. It didn't do very well up to now, but I'd completely forgot I'd put it there, and it was covered over completely with gravel. And now, because I've been working around here, I've remembered that it's there, only because I've seen it, and now I've done something about it, and now I can hope to keep it clear, hopefully. We will have other plants put into this area. As I said, I think I talked about moving one of the ornamental grasses, the miscanthus, behind that post. I still may do that, because it would still look good in this area here, just here. It would look really, really good there. But it's got to stay, I've got to be sure that it's going to stay fairly tight clumping, because it could spoil the effect if I'm not careful. But actually, I think that would look really good there. It's something I'll think about, it's something I'll look at from upstairs and see what it looks like. And the best time at this time of year, while it's still looking like that, I mean, it's only a 2-year-old plant at the moment, but it has remained quite skinny. It's a good time to lift it, well, for me anyway, good time to lift it and plonk it back in and just have a look where it looks like at the moment. And then that will give you sort of some indication whether it'll stay tightly knitted. I could use something like the Calamagrostis. There's one there. This grass here it's called Eldorado, this one. It has a yellowy leaf. We're getting to the point now where we're going to be cutting these things back. I still haven't done it. I keep saying I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do it just yet, because we're expecting some poor weather again coming in, a bit stormy. It's been a bit stormy for the last week. So I'm pleased I didn't do it. I've got too much to do anyway, and these little features. Yeah, doesn't it look great? I love it. I love all this creative process. I know I always talk about how much I love this creative process, and I do. I really do like it. I love it. I love to inspire people as well, so I'm pleased that you're all still finding some inspiration from my words. I know I go on a bit at times, but just trying to give you some guidance. Yeah, and I do walk around the garden quite a lot just to reevaluate things. And I've noticed this is Scabious ochroluca, and I think it's a particular type, and it's never stopped flowering. There you go, look at that. So any pollinators that find themselves out in this type of weather are going to be lucky if they chance upon that one. It's still flowering. Now I've noticed that bits and bobs are starting to come up in the garden, which we won't talk about on this video, but I'm getting to the point now where some of the bits can come down. I'm not going to take everything down, but I'm going to take certain things down and make a start because I've got quite a lot to do. So there we are, the Yorkstone slabbed area with more rocks on that rocky outcrop, and it looks really interesting. And I don't think it really does it justice on here because I've got some undulations going on here. You don't see it, but it kind of goes like that, up and down, and the rocks are put at different heights as well. Some are dug in, some simply sit on the surface, but they're all quite sturdy because I packed some of the hardcore around each one of them so they won't move anywhere. And I think that's looking superb. So that's that, another task done, another job done, and I'm calling that finished, hopefully, because you know what I'm like, but hopefully the only thing I'll have to do with this is probably mess around with some of the plants around it. That's probably all I'll do. And at the moment, the only one I'm planning on doing it with is that miscanthus, and we'll see what difference that makes. Now, I had contemplated, in fact, while we're on the subject, I had contemplated moving Pinus contorta Chief Joseph, the one at the back there, the yellow one, and I was going to put it there. But to be honest with you, as summer comes and spring comes, it turns back to a green, and it becomes very, well, it doesn't stand out. So it'd be pointless to have it sat here because it'd be sat next to the Pinus mugo, which is very similar. You could argue that the box is an evergreen and it's pretty similar, but it's nothing like. But that would have looked good here, but I decided that I would leave it there because it draws your attention and takes you up the garden to it. When you catch your eye on it, you want to walk up to it just to see what it is. And it is a nice plant. If you can get hold of that, that won't cost me an arm and a leg. It is growing quite well now, but when it turned up, it was a flipping stick. And I paid 70 quid for it. A lot of money, plus the postage and packing. Right, that's enough about that. I shall talk to you soon and tell you what my next project's going to be. I've got 2 or 3 on the go that I'm going to be doing, and the next one I'll talk about on my next video. Okay, any questions, fire away at me, mention me to your mates, and hopefully you've subscribed. It doesn't cost anything, and hopefully you're enjoying my videos still. Talk to you later. Ta-ra.